I've gotten advice in the past to argue in front of your kids, not wildly, so that they can see an arc of a relationship where this is what a disagreement between two people who love each other. And then the next morning they're having breakfast together and everybody's smiling, laughing. That must be what that looks like, right?
Yes.
What's the balance between that? I guess that's the balance between that disagreement versus we need to get behind closed doors and take the gloves off for a minute.
Heated.
Okay.
Yes, really angry. And I think specifically if it's about them. Because what'll happen is if it's about them, one of you is often going to be siding with your child and feeling like the other parent is being too strict. And so when that happens, that's where I think girls can step into all that Freud stuff.
They start owning you.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm going to triangulate myself in here between my parents. And so I think those are the arguments that feel more concerning to me as primarily a counselor to girls, that they're going to start to work that later on.
Is it true that, I hope it's true because I say it almost every single show
It's
here.
true. Whatever it is.
That you alluded to this, kids feel the relational tension.
Yes.
And they tend to backfill that tension with, it must be my fault. Mm-hmm. And they start trying to solve it in these ways. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely they do. Yeah.
And they start solving it. It's been my experience that kids, whether they get into stuff that we've all said is not a good idea, whether it's they're going to run off and make straight A's, they're going to tuck their shirts in, and they're going to try to perfect their body image. That really, on the arc, is the same behavior. It just, we reward some of it, unfortunately, and then it can still pathologize itself. It can still get off the rails there, and then we go to war against other behaviors. But really, they're just trying to, I guess it goes back to being seen, but they're just trying to perform, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, that's, with anxiety right now, girls are leading the statistics. And boys are taken in for treatment more, whereas girls are more anxious. And I think it's because of exactly what you said. I think boys often are more explosive, and so we're seeing their behavior, and it's concerning. And girls who are anxious,
they're imploding from the inside out.
And they're perfectionistic, and they're doing great in school. And parent-teacher conferences, the teachers say, I wish every child was like her. But we're missing that it's fueled by the same thing, this panic inside of, I've got to live up to the expectations.
So how do you, man, you're going to get me all fired up here, and it's just the middle of the day. So what do I say as a parent? I know my daughter's not doing well. And the teacher is saying, you can feel your 7-year-old, your 12-year-old, your 14-year-old start to withdraw.
Yeah.
They're still checking the boxes, right? They're going to school. They're still getting the grades good enough. You know you're losing your kid, and you can't put your finger on it. And you got a teacher, you got a pastor at some church, you've got adults and their soccer coach saying, I would do anything for a team full of those, right? And then I got a boy who's a knucklehead and rambunctious and so kind and so compassionate, and you can watch them grinding through that distraction to get their grades. And I've got a teacher saying, I don't want that kid in my class anymore. How do you equip? What would you equip parents with to go into those conversations?
Well, I think I would say trust your gut as a parent, because you're going to have a million people.
Do you see that? She's making me look so smart. Oh my gosh. Dude, this whole episode, everybody's just for me. It's 100% for me. I have a low self-esteem, and she's making me feel better. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you know your child better than anybody. And I think just like with our health, you've got to advocate for yourself and for your child. And so even if it takes you saying things and putting yourself out there and going back over and over, trust your gut and follow it.
So as someone who works with families a lot, how many times... You have your own kids?
No.
Okay, you don't? Okay.
I've counseled thousands of them over the years, but I have a 2-year-old nephew. Okay,
so how would you answer this question for me then? The longer I go, the more I wish I could walk back. Does that make sense? How do you teach a parent to forgive themselves? How about that? The more I go, I go, oh gosh, I wish I could have that conversation back, or I wish I could. How do you not let that pile up as a parent? And you can begin to discharge that pain and then move on, right? You can't keep carrying that around with you.
Well, I mean, I think it all gets used at some point. And if this generation of kids is feeling more pressure than ever before to be a perfect parent, the fact that you weren't is only going to help them. alleviate that when they get to their own parenting. And I think, again, you're younger than I am, but I think so many of us never had parents who said, "I'm sorry, will you forgive me?" And kids today feel so much pressure to be perfect. And so as their hero, for you to say to them, "I blew it. I'm sorry. Will you forgive me?" Even if it's 5 years later, I've been thinking about a conversation we had once. And I wish I'd done that differently. Like, what a powerful message for them that validates and values them.
I think saying I'm sorry to your kids is the most important thing you can do. Is that fair?
Yes, absolutely. It's fair. Yes.